At the corner table with roses, my husband lifted a glass to a woman who was not me. The candlelight made their smiles look harmless. But I knew. On most days, I fold laundry and say grace over simple meals. That night, I wore my calm like armor. I took a breath, stepped into that soft-lit room, and let the truth walk in beside me. Yes, I crashed his affair dinner. And I brought a +1 he never saw coming. Stay with me. Like, subscribe, and share this story. Your support helps gentle truth find ears that need it today. My name is Grace, and I grew up believing love was a steady table with 4 legs: honesty, patience, laughter, and effort. For 17 years, I thought Tom and I had that table. We lived in a small house with a maple in the yard. Our daughter Mia left for college last fall. The rooms became quiet. We filled the quiet with routine. I baked on weekends. Tom jogged early. We smiled at neighbors, paid bills on time, and kept promises. Then small things shifted, like a picture frame tilting on its own, asking to be noticed. I waited, listening. He changed cologne. Lemon and cedar followed him like a new melody. His phone, once careless on the table, learned to sleep face down. He started receiving texts late and stepping onto the porch to answer. He ironed shirts on Wednesday nights without asking me to help. None of these are crimes. People change. Seasons change. But I know my home like I know my own hands. When familiar lines move, the skin feels strange. I asked gentle questions. Tom used gentle answers. The edges of our table wobbled, but I tried to hold it steady. With hope, I waited. 2 weeks later, while folding towels, I found a receipt tucked into Tom's gym bag. Harbor House, 2 entrees. A dessert called Midnight Silk. A rose charge. I read the date and my stomach cooled like a pot taken off the stove. That night, Tom had said he was with a client. We had split pea soup and I ate alone. I held the paper and felt a quiet line inside me draw itself straight. I did not cry. I put the receipt back and smoothed the towel. Then I set the table for dinner. My hands did not tremble either. People imagine the heart busting like a pipe. Sometimes truth comes like dew. It gathers until the leaf can no longer hold it, and then it drops. I watched Tom eat meatloaf and tell me about a budget meeting. I watched his eyes slide when mine met them. I said nothing. Later, I stood by our porch light and looked at the maple. The leaves were turning at the tips. Change arrives at edges first. It was arriving to me too, and I decided to meet it with care. Not with rage, but with calm steps toward a cleaner air. I started a simple list: dates, times, notes. Not to trap him, but to steady myself with facts. I spoke with no one at first. Secrets can make noise if you let them. I wanted a quiet mind. One afternoon, I called Harbor House and asked if they had a reservation for Tom the following Thursday. The woman said yes, a table by the window, 7 o'clock. I thanked her, hung up, and stared at the calendar. Thursday was our old date night before Mia was born. I remembered laughs, fish tacos, and the new blue dress I wore then. My sister Marie called that night to ask about Mia's midterms. I nearly told her. Then I heard something in my own voice, a wobble I did not want to share yet. I said Mia seemed fine, the leaves were pretty, and I had a new recipe for pumpkin bread. After we hung up, I lit a candle and opened my journal. I wrote Thursday equals truth. It felt simple and hard at the same time. I closed the book, pressed my palms to its cover, and promised myself I would walk with grace. Even if my voice shook then. On Wednesday, I watered the plants and noticed the African violet had new buds. It made me smile. Life keeps trying. I took that as a sign. I also did something I never thought I would do. I searched for the other woman. Her name, I believed, was Lila. I had seen it on a glance of text one evening. The letters had glowed in the dim kitchen like a small flame. I typed Lila and our town into the computer and found a photo of her at a charity brunch. She smiled wide beside a man named Ethan Cole. In the caption, Lila stood with a man named Ethan. He had kind eyes and a tired smile, like someone who carries much and does not complain. I traced his face with my eyes and wondered if he knew. I wondered how many rooms held the same air of almost truth. Then I clicked away and sat very still. I set my hands flat on the table and breathed. The house hummed. The clock ticked. I decided to message Ethan and ask to meet. I would be polite. I would be clear. I would honor my dignity. And accept what came. My message was simple. I told him my name, that I was Tom's wife, and that I needed to ask a difficult question. I said I meant no harm. I asked to meet in a public place, where we could sit and speak like adults who cared about truth. Then I put the phone down and walked outside. The air was cool. Leaves rustled. I waited. He wrote back in 20 minutes, which felt like an hour. Yes, he wrote. Tomorrow at noon at the cafe near the library. Thank you for being respectful. I whispered thanks to steady courage. I arrived early and chose a table near the window. I brought a small notebook and a pen. When Ethan walked in, he looked just like his photo. Kind eyes, tired smile. He saw me, paused, and nodded before crossing the room. He did not offer his hand. I did not either. We sat. The waitress brought water. The hum of voices held us like a low tide. I told him what I had found. He listened. He did not interrupt. When I finished, he folded his hands and blew out a soft breath. He looked like someone praying inside. He said, "Thank you for telling me. My heart has wanted to look away. But that does not make the truth change. I've felt her slipping. I told myself it was work. I told myself we would find our way back." He lifted his glass and drank. He set it down carefully. "What do you want to do, Grace?" he asked. I said I wanted the truth spoken in a room where it could not hide, and that I wanted a plan that honored our lives. "Not revenge," I said. "Clear steps, boundaries, respect for ourselves, despite hurt today." He nodded. Then he asked if I wanted to confront them together. I felt the word together land like a steady hand on my back. "Yes," I said. "We will go to Harbor House on Thursday at 7. We will walk in, say hello, and ask to talk privately. No yelling, no names. Just the truth," he agreed. We set 3 simple rules. We would stay calm. We would stick to facts. If one of us felt overwhelmed, we would pause, breathe, and ask for a short break. We would leave if cruelty started. Dignity first, even in sorrow always. That night, I could not sleep. I did not toss or turn. I lay still and listened to the old house breathe. Tom came to bed late. He moved quietly, as if quiet were the same as innocence. I watched the ceiling. I thought about the +1 I was bringing. I was not bringing a weapon or a secret camera. I was bringing a person whose life mattered, whose heart had also been shaken. This was not about public shame. This was about letting truth walk in with company, so none of us had to stand alone in it together. Thursday came with a bright sky. I cleaned the kitchen, paid a bill, and wrote a note to myself. Speak slow. Breathe deep. Choose kind words for hard facts. I packed tissues and a small bottle of water. I wore a navy dress that fit without fuss and a sweater Mia had picked for me last Christmas. At 5, Ethan texted that he would meet me nearby to walk in together. At 6, I told Tom I was meeting Marie for coffee. He smiled and kissed my cheek. I let him. Truth would speak for me soon, very, very quietly. Ethan and I met in the parking lot by the row of oaks. We did not hug. We did not need to. Standing near him felt like standing near a tall fence in strong wind. There was shelter. He said, "Ready?" I said, "Ready enough." We walked through the doors, and the soft light greeted us. I told the host we were looking for a private space to speak with my husband and his guest. The host blinked, then nodded, and asked us to wait at the small bench by the lily painting. The air smelled like warm bread nearby. We waited. The minutes felt careful, like a person carrying a full glass. Then Tom came in with Lila. They stood at the host stand, and Tom said our last name. Reed. The sound of it near her sent a plain ache through me. Not a sharp arrow. A stone placed in my pocket. The host smiled and reached for menus. I stood. Ethan stood. We walked toward them. Tom turned. He went pale, then flushed, then tried to smile. Leela lowered her eyes. I greeted them both and asked for a quiet room. "Please," I said, "for privacy tonight." The manager, a calm man named Carlos, led us to a small room near the back, with a door that could close but not lock. It had a simple table and 4 chairs and art of a sailboat on the wall. He asked if we needed water. I said yes, please, and thank you. He said to take our time. Then he left. The door clicked softly. I looked at Tom. He looked at Ethan. Lila stared at her nails. I folded my hands and began with the thing that mattered most. We are here for truth tonight and respect. I said, "Tom, I know you told me you had a client dinner. I know this is not a client. I know I found a receipt before. I know about the rose charge." My voice stayed even. "I think we owe each other plain words," I said. "Lila, I will speak to you with respect. Ethan is here because he also deserves truth. We will keep our voices low. We will not make a scene. But we will not hide. I laid my small notebook on the table and waited. The room seemed to breathe with us in patient time. Tom opened his mouth, closed it, and looked down. He said my name, then cleared his throat. "Grace," he began, "I can explain." Ethan's face did not move. He placed his hands flat on the table. Lila whispered, "I am sorry." The words came out like a thin ribbon. I nodded to her once. I said, "This can be simple if we let it." "Tom, are you in a romantic relationship with Lila?" He looked at me, tried to smile, failed, and said, "Yes." The room did not explode. It just settled. The truth had finally taken its seat there. Ethan spoke next. "Lila," he said, "are you in a romantic relationship with Tom?" Lila took a breath. Tears filled her eyes without falling. She said, "Yes, I am sorry. I did not plan it. He helped me at work, and I leaned on him when Ethan's father was ill. I should have stayed inside my promises. I did not." Ethan nodded once. He said, "Thank you for answering. We will handle the rest later. For now, we are here together, and truth is here with us. Let us keep this moment clean. No more layers. No dodging now, please." Tom reached for my hand, then thought better and pulled back. He said, "Grace, I never wanted to hurt you." My throat felt tight, but my voice stayed steady. "The hurt is done," I said. "Now we choose how we carry it." I opened my notebook and placed a written list on the table. It held the rules Ethan and I had set. I read them aloud. Tom nodded. Lila nodded. I said, "We will not make a scene. We will plan next steps. We will treat each other with basic care. We will leave intact as humans this evening," Lila whispered. "Thank you for not yelling." I said, "Yelling creates heat, not light. Truth needs light." I turned to Tom. I asked when the affair began. He rubbed his temple and said last spring, after Mia left for college. I asked if it had ended. He said no. I asked if he had used protection. He said yes. I nodded, wrote the answers, and paused to breathe. My pen felt heavier than ink could explain. Ethan sat very still, as if stillness were the rope he held to cross a ravine. One careful step, then another, forward with patience. I said, "Tom, I will not stay in a home where this continues. We will have a separation starting tonight. You will pack a bag and stay at your brother's for 2 weeks. We will meet with a mediator to discuss next steps. I will not block your relationship choices, but I will not share my roof with lies." He nodded, eyes wet. He said, "I understand." Lila looked at Ethan. He said, "We will speak later." My voice softened. I said, "We will tell Mia together with care after we have a plan. We will not blame ourselves either." Tom said he felt ashamed. I said, "Shame is a poor compass. Let us use honesty instead." He wiped his eyes and nodded. He asked if I hated him. I said, "No, hate is heavy. I cannot carry it. I can carry decisions." Lila whispered that she had planned to end it tonight. I said, "Then let this be the end. We do not have to break more than is already broken." Carlos knocked, slipped in, and asked if we needed anything. I asked for the bill to be split 4 ways. He nodded. We thanked him softly before we returned to the main room as a small group. People looked up, then returned to their meals. It felt like walking from a storm into a library. The noise was gentle again. We did not stay to eat. We settled the bill at the host stand. Tom tried to hand me his card. I shook my head and paid for my part with cash. The act steadied me. It said, "I can stand." Ethan paid his share. Lila paid hers. We stepped outside. The night air felt like clean linen. I thanked Carlos with a soft nod before leaving. Under the oaks, we paused. Crickets sang. There was a quiet moment when no one moved. Then Ethan said to Lila, "We will drive in separate cars. We will talk tomorrow." She nodded. Tom asked if he could come home to pack. "Yes," I said. "I will be there. You will take your bag and go to your brother's by 10. He agreed. Lila left first, her steps quick. Ethan gave me a small bow, like a promise to keep it civil, then left. Tom and I walked to the car in silence. The keys felt heavy in hand tonight. On the drive home, Tom reached for the radio, then stopped and put his hands back in his lap. I watched the road. The maple leaves along the streetlights looked like small fires. He said, "I am sorry." I said, "I hear you. I do not know yet what I will forgive, but I will treat you with respect." He nodded. We pulled into the driveway. The porch light was still on, like a small lighthouse that had done its job. We went inside. The rooms felt familiar and changed. We spoke softly to keep the peace steady that night. Tom packed in the bedroom while I sat at the kitchen table and wrote on a yellow pad. I wrote what we needed for tomorrow. Mediator options. Time to call Mia. a list of bills and accounts. My handwriting calmed me. It felt like building small walls to hold back a flood. Tom came to the door with a duffel. He said, "Grace," I looked up. He said, "I do not deserve your calm." I said, "Calm is for me. You do not have to deserve it. You have to respect it." He nodded, throat tight, eyes down before leaving. He left at 10. The house was mine again, and I felt every corner of it. I walked from room to room and touched the backs of chairs. I straightened a pillow, folded a blanket, and stood by the window. The street was quiet. A neighbor's dog trotted by with its person. I wished them peace. I wished us peace too someday. I washed my face, put on my soft robe, and sat on the edge of the bed. My body trembled then. I let it tremble. The tears came like a gentle rain. They did not drown me either. In the morning, I called Marie. I told her everything. She was quiet for a long moment and then said, "I love you. I am proud of the way you handled last night. Do you want me to come over?" I said yes. She arrived with coffee and muffins. We sat at the table and made a list. I told her we needed a mediator. She said she knew a woman named Ms. Allen who helped her friend during a peaceful divorce. We called Ms. Allen and she had a noon opening. We said we would be there on time. Ms. Allen's office was in a small brick building near the courthouse. Her waiting room had plants and soft chairs and a bowl of wrapped candies. She greeted us with a calm smile and a listening face. I told her our situation. Marie listened and took notes, as if taking notes could carry some of my load. Ms. Allen said we could create a fair plan without anger. She said fairness is a practice, not a feeling. She asked if I felt safe. I said yes. She scheduled a joint session for tomorrow morning. I thanked her for clarity today. After the meeting, Marie and I ate soup at a small diner. We talked about practical things. We listed passwords to change. We planned who would tell which relatives when the time came. Then we returned home. I sat on the couch and held my wedding album for a long time. I let memories rise and fall, like waves that come to shore and fold back. I did not fight them. Not every good thing stays. Not every broken thing stays broken. I told myself this as if teaching a lesson kindly. Practice helps the heart learn balance over time. Tom called that evening to confirm he was at his brother's. He asked about money and the car. I said we would keep our accounts as they were until we met with Ms. Allen together. I said we would make a plan for bills, for the house, and for any shared things. He thanked me for being organized. I hung up, then called Mia. I did not tell her the whole story yet. I said her dad and I were sorting a serious matter and that we loved her very much. She said she trusted us to explain with care. I slept better that night. Morning came with a blush of pink on the horizon. I made oatmeal and tea. At 9, Tom arrived for the joint session at Ms. Allen's office. He looked tired. Lila did not come, of course. This was between Tom and me. Ms. Allen welcomed us and started with ground rules. She said we would speak one at a time. We would use I statements. We would focus on interests, not blame. We agreed. Then we began the slow work of sorting a life into fair pieces. We took breaks when feelings swelled too high. We decided Tom would stay at his brother's for a month, then find a short-term rental. We agreed to split costs fairly while the house stayed in both names. We agreed to meet a counselor to discuss telling Mia and to write a simple joint message to family. We agreed not to post on social media. We agreed to treat each other as neighbors in a small town. You do not slam doors in a small town. You nod, keep your voice low, and keep walking. Ms. Allen said we were doing well. We thanked her for guiding us gently. After the session, I walked in the park. Geese paced along the pond like serious citizens. A child tossed bread and laughed when a bold goose came near. I sat on a bench and watched the water move. I thought about the night at Harbor House. I thought about how the manager found us a private room. I thanked him in my mind again. Kindness from strangers can feel like strong rope swung across a gap. You catch it and steady your feet, and somehow you make it across. I promised to be that rope for others one day, too. That evening, Ethan called to check on me. He asked if I felt safe and if I needed anything. I thanked him. I asked if he was all right. He said he had moved into the guest room and that he and Lila would see a counselor. He said he did not know whether they would stay together. He said he would decide after time and honest talk. I told him I respected that. We agreed to keep each other updated only as needed. We wished each other peace and hung up. We were allies in careful truth for now. The next day, Tom and I met with a counselor, Mrs. Hart. She was gray-haired and kind, with a voice that sounded like a quilt looks. She asked us to speak from our own chairs, not from the others. She asked us what we wanted for the next month. I said I wanted calm and clarity. Tom said he wanted to make amends. She said amends are actions. She asked Tom to write a statement of truth for Mia and for our families. She asked me to write my boundaries with care. We agreed to meet again Monday at noon. Over the weekend, I cleaned the pantry. It may sound strange, but order helps me think. I tossed old crackers and lined up the cans. I wrote 3 lists: must do, could do, and let go. Must do held the legal and practical things. Could do held gentle tasks like walks and calls with friends. Let go held old habits I would not need anymore, like waiting up when Tom was late. I pinned the list to the corkboard. I stood back and felt my breath loosen as if a window had opened. The light found me standing there peacefully. On Monday, Tom and I met again with Ms. Allen. We discussed the house. I wanted to keep it if I could afford it. Tom said he understood. We pulled up our numbers. Ms. Allen guided us through options. We agreed on a fair split and a timeline. He would refinance to remove his name or sell in 6 months if I could not refinance alone. It felt steady to write it down. Steady is a word I kept reaching for, like a rail on stairs during a careful climb. You hold it and take 1 step at times only. That afternoon, we met with Mrs. Hart again. She asked Tom to read his statement of truth. He read slowly, voice shaking. He said he had been unfaithful. He said it was his choice, not because of me. He said he was sorry he lied. He said he would support fair steps. When he finished, Mrs. Hart asked me to read my boundaries. I said I needed no contact except about practical matters. I said we would use a shared calendar. I said I would not be moved by tears, only by actions. She nodded and thanked us both gently. At the end of the week, we told Mia together on a video call. We sat at the kitchen table where she learned to write her name. Tom read his statement. I held my mug with both hands. Mia listened and cried. She asked if it was her fault. We both said no. She asked if we would be okay. I said we would because we were choosing honest steps. She said she loved us. We said we loved her. After the call, we cried quietly and then took a brief walk. The map felt clearer after truth was spoken. In the second week, I began a new routine. I walked in the morning, worked in the garden after lunch, and cooked simple dinners for myself. I called old friends and told a few the truth when I felt ready. I did not tell the whole town, and I did not hide. I chose a middle path, where dignity could breathe. Tom sent messages through the shared calendar, kept payments fair, and kept appointments. He asked once if I would consider counseling together later. I said we could revisit after 3 months. Space first, then decisions with care and quiet. One Saturday, I saw Carlos at the farmer's market. He recognized me and approached with respect in his eyes. He asked how I was. I said I was walking forward, one careful step at a time. He nodded. He said he remembered the calm in the room that night and wished more people chose that path. I thanked him. I bought apples and sunflowers. I carried them home and put the flowers in the blue vase. The sunflowers turned their faces toward the afternoon light. I felt their quiet lesson in my chest. Turn toward what gives steady light daily. In the 3rd month, Tom asked for a meeting. We sat with Ms. Allen and reviewed our progress. He said he had ended the relationship with Lila. He's saying it did not erase the past, but it mattered that he took action. He said he would like to ask for counseling to see if our marriage had a future. I listened. I asked many questions. I watched his answers more than his eyes. Ms. Allen said we could set conditions for counseling, including a full timeline and a commitment to transparency. We set those conditions before any step toward trust. That evening, I sat on the porch with a blanket and wrote in my journal. I wrote the true line that had guided me since Harbor House. Justice through wisdom, not rage. Truth, not heat. I thought of the night again. I remembered Tom's face, Lila's whisper, Ethan's steady hands, and Carlos's quiet care. Each person had a choice. I had mine. I chose to speak with calm and to set fair boundaries. That choice carried me. I felt proud of that. Pride is light when it comes from character. It does not weigh others down around you at all. By winter, the house felt like mine in a new way. I placed a quilt on the couch and hung a painting I had never hung because Tom did not like it. I painted Mia's room a soft green for when she visited. I learned how to fix a leaky faucet from a video and laughed when water sprinkled my face. Life was not perfect, but it was honest. Tom and I continued counseling for a time. We did not rush to label the outcome. We let time and truth do their work. The seasons changed without rushing me forward. On a snowy afternoon, Ethan called again. He said he and Lila had chosen to part kindly. He said they wished each other well and were working out their own fair plan. He thanked me for the way I approached that dinner. He said it had spared him from years of doubt. I told him he had spared me too, by standing next to me so truth did not have to stand alone. We laughed once, soft and real. We wished one another a life that held more light than shadow. May your days be steady and gentle from here. People ask me, do you regret crashing that dinner? I smile and say, I regret the need for it, but not the way it happened. Truth came in on 2 feet and sat at the table. We did not swing it like a hammer. We set it down like a lantern. It lit the room. It showed us where to step. It did not burn. Since then, I have tried to live with that same light in my hands. Sometimes justice is gentle. Sometimes it is just steady steps forward, one after another. And it brings fairness back home again.